Better. When you're here, your elbow went this way right away. Remember, it's this way. So you stand path, remember?
Young, strong, disciplined, and female. It's commonplace to see women out in the field or on the court today. But 50 years ago, it was a different story for women, like Connie Miner.
There you go.
I was pretty good at sports, and I loved it, and so I knew I wanted us to have a girls' basketball team, and at the time we didn't. My mom went into the school board and said, you know, if the boys have it, the girls should have it. And so I had basketball 1 year in high school, and I think track 2 years.
In 1972, Connie Miner was coming of age when Title IX became law. The federal civil rights legislation prohibited sexual discrimination in educational programs. It opened the doors to sanctioned athletic activities for girls and women. Connie was a gifted athlete. Though organized sports were limited during her high school years in Red Cloud, she spent her summers playing in a fast-pitch softball league.
When we were at practice, we learned, you know, we didn't mess around. I mean, we learned different skills and things like that.
When she first was starting to play softball and went to pitch, all of us were kind of burnt out with catching. She would just go to the north side of the house and just hit against the house. I mean, just pitch and bang against the house and bang against the house.
She went out north of the house and pitched against my house. And then I got a pitch back, so I'd pitch the ball back to her instead of hitting the house all the time. I didn't like the sound of it.
The league's head coach was a local woman named Kay Cover. She, too, was a gifted athlete in her youth, but came of age long before Title IX.
And she was, you know, for me, encouraging, supportive. It's okay, keep, you know, going after it. So it was never, I never heard anything from her that that was negative in any way. You know, she just, you know, pushed me.
We went to a tournament, and when we got there, I needed to go to the restroom. So I went to the restroom in the stall, and another group of girls coming in, they're going, Connie Miner's here, and she's going to be pitching over on field, you know, A. You know, we'll have time to go and watch her. And I'm kind of going, is there another Connie Miner? I mean, that's just my sister.
Connie enrolled at the University of Nebraska at Kearney, where she played on the women's softball team. She was a 4-time all-conference player and was twice named Conference Pitcher of the Year. On her graduation, the head coach offered her a job.
He asked me to stay on and coach with him. I didn't get paid to coach, but I was there for practices and travel and games.
From player to unpaid part-time assistant coach. To support herself, Connie worked nights at a local manufacturing plant. She coached at UNK for 2 years before leaving to play for Nebraska's summer league team.
When I went to Lincoln, you know, I played for the Nebraska team in the summer, and I worked for Lincoln Office Supply Company.
She sold office supplies by day and played ball in the evenings and on weekends. When head coach Nancy Plants left Nebraska for Eastern Michigan in 1983, Plants asked Miner to come along.
I was disappointed she was leaving Nebraska, but at the same time, you know, she wanted me to go with her. And I did talk to the new people that came in to Nebraska, but he wanted me to be a grad assistant. And I was like, nah, I'm going to go be an assistant at a Division I program.
The job was again part-time, but it came with pay, $10,000. When Plants left Eastern Michigan in 1987, Miner applied for the top job.
And I got paid $18 to be the head coach, which was not as much as both of the assistant coaches for baseball. And part of it was because I was just turned 30. I was young, and I had no head coaching experience, is what they said. The AD said he would move me up as fast as he could, and he did, you know, because we did pretty well. But I wasn't gonna walk away from it.
As head coach, Miner not only advocated for herself, but also for her softball program.
I remember at meetings where they'd say, well, we don't have this because of women. Some of the coaches had been there for a while, they didn't like it. I mean, I didn't hold back. I was like, well, if you have a daughter, do you want this to happen to her? You know, it should be fair. I said, it's not even close to equal. We're just trying to ask it to be fair.
Even with the support gap, Miner developed EMU softball into one of the most competitive in the Mid-American Conference, while also earning Mid-East Regional Coach of the Year in 1988. But after 13 years with the Eagles, the Division I coach left for San Jose.
We had an AD change, and I didn't like some of the direction. And so I kind of started looking. I thought, well, maybe I'm ready for, a change.
As she did for Eastern Michigan, Coach Miner began rebuilding San Jose's program.
She likes that challenge of building the team up, improving the facilities, building a name for it versus like somebody else has created a program and now I'm just taking it over.
They were struggling, and I scheduled tough because if you schedule preseason tough, I think you're just better prepared for conference. I was kind of fiery. I mean, I'm pretty intense as a coach, Division I coach, and I think I got some of that from Kay. And she didn't care either, you know what I mean? I just say, they put their uniform on the same way we do, let's go play, Don't get intimidated by that. So I think I have a little bit of that, that fieriness about the competition part probably I got from her.
She spent 3 years at San Jose State, then 2 years as assistant coach at University of California, Riverside. Then, in 2003, UNC Chapel Hill called.
Donna Papa's the head coach, still is, and been there forever. I got to know her when I was at Eastern Michigan, and I was excited about the opportunity. I found out how the other world lives. It was crazy. We were Nike sponsored, right? And I'd go in with the equipment. I go, Donna, I got them all this. I said, I still have this much money. What do you want me to get? I mean, it was crazy. For the first time, I saw how the other side of the world lived. It was crazy. But, that opportunity came back to be the head coach at Riverside, and I liked it there. And Donna agreed that if the Riverside job opened up, she'd let me out of the contract, because I would obligate a contract. I wouldn't try to get out of it.
She was head coach of the Highlanders for 9 years before being released in 2012. With an offer from Oakland University, Miner headed back to Michigan, but not without a stipulation.
But I didn't accept it for 2 weeks. Because I met with them and I said, until you put money into the, the program and the field and things like that, why would I come there? I said, but I know I can build a program.
They found the money, and as she had done at other schools, Miner began rebuilding Oakland's softball program.
I was there at, 7 a.m. I didn't leave till 9 or 10 at night. I had the AD come in 3 months after. He goes, Connie, we get here, you're already here, and you're still here when we leave. And they go, you're not going to leave, are you? And I said, oh, no, I'm committed to the girls. I said, I would never do that.
Oakland picked up steam. By the second year, they were competitive.
Some of my kids came in the office, and I'll never forget it. They were hot. They came in, they go, Coach Miner, have you seen the rankings? And I said, yeah, I have. They sent it to me right away. And they go, and they looked at me because I was just calm as could be, and they're like, aren't you mad? I said, no, I'm not mad. They go, you're not mad they ranked at 7th. Then I said, ask me the right question. And they're going back and forth, and they go, we think we got it. What do you think about the rankings? And I said, that's the question. And I said, they're so wrong. They're so wrong. I said, I feel like we'll be fine. We'll be in the running for the championship.
The next year, the Golden Grizzlies won the 2015 Horizon League Softball Championship.
Going from not making the tournament last year, and then, getting picked 7th this year, and then standing here as champions, regular season and now the tournament going postseason is a storybook. These girls wrote every chapter of it.
By the season's end, Miner decided to write a new chapter in her life.
I felt like I did. I did everything I was supposed to do at Oakland. I was brought in to rebuild the program. We won it. And I had the next coach set up to win. So I was like, I did everything I was supposed to do, and, it's time.
After 40 years as a Division I coach, Miner eyed retirement. But softball wasn't done with her just yet. In 2016, Coach Miner was inducted into Eastern Michigan's Hall of Fame.
I've had time to reflect about it, and you just think about, all the amazing student athletes and families and staff and, that you had around you that put you in that position. And, I believe that the people you surround yourself are the ones that get these awards for the head coaches.
That was a little bit shorter, the last one. There you go. So separate, right? When you get done, try to hold center to me on that, okay?
Now living in Colorado, Miner spends her retirement coaching girls.
When I started with Lexi, she was 8.
Good.
So 8 through high school, and I have a couple kids that in the summer that I coached since I've been here that are in college. And in the summer, sometimes they'll, hey, coach, can you get me in for a lesson? So even sometimes when they're back in the summer from college, and say, hey, can you fit me in? I go, sure. I just love it. So if I can help them get to where they want to be in softball, that's a fun, yeah.
Free from the pressure of collegiate sports, it's a much more relaxed Coach Miner who's working with these young athletes, helping improve their skills in a sport she not only loves, but spent her lifetime breaking a path for others she hopes will follow.